Hello, welcome to the channel and thanks for joining me. So today we're going to take a look at this Sanyo personal cassette player, and it's an MGP30 from around 1985. It reminds me in some respects of the MGP24 in that it's a tape player with no radio, and it does have a 3-band sliding EQ on the front, but this one has auto reverse. So a quick walkthrough of the features with this one. As I say, you've got your 3-band EQ on the front, but you've also got a simple volume potentiometer on the top just there with one headphone. But the switch here for the tape is actually for normal or type 1 and metal tapes, and that's pretty cool for a personal cassette player of the time. And it's quite a small unit really, all things considered, you know, compared to some of the beauties that went before, like the M series Sanyos and things like that. It's got a belt clip which is removable, so you can keep it flat on the desk if you wanted to, or you can take it out and about with you fairly easily. But on the side just here, you'll see that it's got the play button, and you've got the play direction LED indicators there, and then you can auto reverse. You've got your different modes there to stop at the end, or indeed to just keep going on a loop. And if you want to change the direction, you just press the slider to fast forward it and rewind it on the side just there. But what I quite like about this one is that you've got your play on the side, but to stop it is actually on the top. So it's pretty cool. So you can sort of have it on your hip, as it were, and press play there, and then your stop is there. So it's kind of like quite ergonomic, and I quite like that. That's pretty cool. Now, the mechanism for the lid is quite nice. You've just got a simple hinge mechanism, but it's got a lovely definite feel to it, and that's pretty cool. You may also see at the back just there that green ribbon cable, so that's what's going to connect the EQ circuitry from the front onto the main board. So that's a quick overview of the features, and also a bit of background. How I came about this is I've got another one of these that's in nicer condition overall, and I was approached by somebody recently that was looking to basically throw this away, or they offered it me for spares if I wanted it. And I live too far away to go and collect it, but they had a couple of other things as well that they were getting rid of, so I kind of did a deal with them and they posted it to me. And so this has arrived basically just for spares, but I think it's got a lot more potential than that. It's all solid, the mechanisms seem to work, at least as far as the mechanics are concerned, and the belt clip is present, as I say. Yes, it's missing the sticker off the bottom, but that's not the end of the world. We can clean that up. And yeah, I think hopefully we should be able to sort it out actually. There's a bit of scratching to the top of the door there, but again, nothing that we can't polish out because the print on these is on the underside of the plastic, so we shouldn't be able to disturb that really. So yeah, I thought perhaps what we'll do is have a look at this, see if we can actually get it working, assuming of course that it doesn't work already. And it might just be a nice opportunity because I need to service my own one of these, so this will serve A as a good practice, and B, you can learn what to do or not to do from me practicing on this one. So first thing we'll do, I think, is just verify that in fact it doesn't work, and I literally genuinely haven't tried this yet. So I've got some batteries and a power supply ready to try it. So it's 3 volts DC, and if I press play, I thought I heard the motor go then for a minute. Stop. That's not good. I thought I heard something and then it stopped. So I'm not sure what's going on with that. I do have a mains adapter here, and I use a universal power supply for lots of different things, working on boomboxes and 8-tracks and stuff, but for personal stereos these multi-voltage adapters are pretty handy, and I did a review on one recently, so do check that out if you haven't already. But this is set up to 3 volts DC. Great, straight away you can see the light is on, and if you have a listen, I'll hold this up to the microphone, you can hear that motor is definitely spinning. And direction, let's have a look. Right, I'm just going to stop it. We'll open the lid, see what the spindles are doing. Right, nothing's happening when we press play. if we press, oh, there we go, almost, and almost. Yeah, so it looks like the belt's gone. I think the motor's working. All right. Okay, well let's give it a go. I think what we'll do is get the thing open and yeah, see if we can get the belt changed, and hopefully we'll be able to fix this little thing. So the first thing we'll do is lose the belt clip. There we go. That screws on. Basically you can use a coin. I get a laugh because I found this this 10 pfennig coin attached to a speaker in a boombox recently, so that's kind of kicking about for that really. So that's where that came from. Right, okay, so 3 screws, correction, 4 screws, because there's also one in the battery compartment. So 4 different screws so far, from what I can tell. Got a long one comes off of this corner, there's a short one opposite, and then a medium length one on the bottom. And I could see that this one has a different head, it's even smaller. So yeah, and then there's a tiny one that just goes into the battery compartment. So that's 4 screws and they are all different. So there we go, as easy as that then. So no shielding or anything on the back case, just got the battery ribbon welded onto the back. So that's that piece, that's easy enough to get rid of. Jolly good. And I can also see, I think, the potentiometer, I could be wrong, for tape speed just there as well if we need that. Right then, so it looks like we can get to not a lot at the moment. There's the flywheel, you can see the brass flywheel just there. And we're not going to be able to change the belt. But what I can see, I don't know if this will focus for you, but I can definitely see that the belt is not in the pulley. Yeah, it's not in there, so it's either slipped off or it literally has turned to goo somewhere. So fair enough. Right, okay, well there's the shield. So my guess is, well, there's a screw just in the middle of the board, so we'll get that out first. With a tiny little washer. Okay, so the board's floating. I know from bitter experience with an MG34 DT with the radio pack that you don't want to go touching these if you can help it. These are so fragile, these ribbons are so frail. So frail. The last thing you want to do is desolder those, because you'll just burn the contacts away and never get the thing back on again. So I'm more inclined to go in from the other side, which is over here, and that looks like it's probably the heads. So we'll need to desolder those, I think. Right, okay. Rightio, so I'm going to try and pick this tape away. And I've got to be honest, my eyesight is not great. And this really is on the limit of what I would like to work on. There's a bit of tape for there. Yeah, so what have we got here then? We've got 4 cables, in fact. We've got red, green, blue and white. And in time-honoured fashion, I'm going to take a photo of that, just for my own peace of mind. I'll get some flux on there. Told you my eyes were bad. I didn't even see that 5th one till it came away. Right, red, green, black, blue and white. I mean, these things really are the tiniest cables ever. think I'm going to invest in a microscope actually. I have absolutely no intention of doing all the kind of surface mount work and like stairs and people like that. I prefer sticking to old school transistors and electrolytics and stuff like that. Things I can see, 1970s and early 80s stuff. I tend to stay away from Game Boys and stuff like that, but Walkmans like this are pretty marginal because we've still got lots of traditional electrolytics there. We've got, there's your caps, there's your transistors in there, surface resistors that you can see. So yeah, it's all nice and fairly, easy enough to work on. Right, okay, anyway, back to the plot. We can see that belt is pretty grim, a bit loose. It's totally, I mean, those pulleys are turning totally sort of pretty much independently. So again, I'm just going to take a quick picture of the belt. And that just gives us something to go on, because actually removing the belt itself is pretty easy by the looks of it. So it should just be a case of that. Everything else in there looks okay, looks geared, and I'm kind of hoping this might just be driven by a primary belt, so I can feel how dry that is. You can probably see actually, I mean, it's formed around the pulleys. It just feels dry. It feels kind of slippy. It's got no grip at all. It's completely given up the ghost. So getting it off was actually fairly painless. As I say, I would definitely benefit from a microscope, because these are on these tiniest cables are marginal. I mean, bearing in mind there's 5 there in my fingers. I mean, that is marginal to do by eye, especially with old man's eyesight like mine. So I'm going to invest, I think, in a microscope so I can work semi-remotely on this. But yeah, if you've got better eyesight than me, you'll have no issue whatsoever in doing that. It should be quite easy as long as you're careful. Okay, so I'm just going to go and measure up a belt for this. It looks like it's a 1mm square belt, and I don't know, what's that, probably might even be a 50mm, 45mm, something like that. So I'm going to see what I can find, and I'll be back in a moment. Okay, well, I've just been looking for some belts, and the original one is here that you can see is all misshapen. I've found one that's probably the right size for a replacement, but it's not a terribly good belt, to be fair. I've got a nice Deck Tech belt here, which is much nicer, precision ground, and much more supple and just a nicer belt. Only problem is it is a couple of mil smaller. So I think what I'm going to do is, my preference is for now to use the smaller one, see if we can get that in, and if it feels okay, we can always pick the speed up a little bit, because it might drag the motor speed down slightly. Failing that, we'll just go and probably just go and order a new belt up, I think. Always seems a shame to put a rubbish belt on something that's half decent, especially like this, when it's a bit of a pain to get it in otherwise, with this desoldering and everything else. That being said, feels okay. It's going on quite well actually. So, but again, because it is new, it's more supple. Yeah, to be honest, I think that's going to be all right, I think we can live with that. Right, okay, so if that's the case, we might be in business. So next stage is just to screw the board back on with the world's tiniest little screw. I'm wondering, actually, I think that's just the heads there anyway. So what I'm going to do, I think, as long as they are not touching anything else or indeed each other, I'm actually going to try and fire it up just to see whether or not it works. So where are we? Just trying to think where the jack socket is on this one. Oh, she's over on this side. Right. Okay, well, let's see what happens. Oops, stop it, open her up and bring her in for you to see. Okay, well, she's turning, and that seems to, direction change seems to work as well. Now we need to solder all these back up again, and it was red, green, black, blue and white. I'm actually going to raise the unit. I'm going to bring it up a bit closer where I can get to it more easily. There we go. Get some flux on there. As I say, that is as close or as small as I'd ever want to go with regard to soldering. So definitely going to treat myself to a little cheapy microscope, I think. Right, I believe they're all in. So let's just connect my little JSX37 speakers. I'll put them down there. Put those into the headphone sockets, which is there. Right, okay. Let's see if we can get any noise out of this thing, shall we? Let's put a tape in. Power's now on this side. Okay, see what happens. Okay, so it sounded a bit odd. However, I think there was an issue with the headphone socket, so I might just reflow that a moment. I'm just going to check to see if there's anything obvious with regard to any broken traces or anything like that. Yeah, it looks like it might be a dry joint actually. It might well be a dry joint just there. Might even be that that pad's coming away, you know. Okay, well, going to reflow them, and worst case scenario, we can always just run a jumper from that pad there to the next corresponding pad. Okay. Right, let's just try that a minute. Keep losing which corner the power lead's on. Right, let's try it again. Okay, well, I've just switched out from the speakers now to a pair of headphones, and let's press play. Okay, it sounds better actually. However, The tape speed needs picking up a little bit. There we go. That's better. So the tape speed is just on the bottom there, just a tiny little screwdriver into the bottom hole there on that resistor or variable resistor. Right, okay. Sounds really weird when you hear it like through the speakers here. It sounds really wobbly and weird, but when you put the headphones on it sounds absolutely fine. Most bizarre. Okay, well I'm actually pretty happy with that. We've got the we've just reflowed the headphones. That's really helped that, and I've got to say, adjusting the tape speed, probably because the belt's a little bit on the tight side, but other than that it's okay. I'm pretty happy with it. So let's just check the fast forward and rewind as well. Okay, well that's got to the end anyway. Rewind the other way. Marvellous, and play. Yeah, okay, good. So on that basis, I think we'll call that done. Get the back on and give it a decent clean, give it a final check over, and that should be it. So hopefully everything's gone back where it belonged. And now just for a bit of polishing compound, use a little bit of T-cut on this, just to polish out the scratches here. And then I shall do the same when we get to the front casing here, just being careful not to go over any paintwork or anything like that. And then we'll get some vinyl cleaner on it, and that should be that. And I'll just clean the head as well, and indeed the capstans and pinch rollers, because of course there are two on this one. There's a pair because it is auto reverse. So I'm just going to work my way through this little lot now, just cleaning them up, getting any ferrite residue off, and then we'll have a reveal. So here it is then, the Sanyo MGP30, all the way from 1985. It needed a bit of a clean, it wasn't working at all. I actually got it as spares anyway, or repair, and it turned out it just needed a new belt. So we've basically just got it open by desoldering the heads and removing the circuit board to one side, and that's allowed us to actually just get in there, put a new belt in. We've tweaked the speed a bit because the belt was on the slightly small side, and I may actually go back and put one in that's a couple of millimeters bigger at some point in the future. But there we go. So there she is. So all working nicely now, and I'll just give you a quick précis as it were. So fast forward, that's working nicely. Rewind, that's working nicely. So I've just hooked it up to a boombox so we can have a little listen, and we'll see how it sounds. And just change direction. There we go. So a bit of Jean-Michel Jarre there. So there we go, all the way from the 1980s. As I say, now it's all working nicely and looking an awful lot cleaner. It's all complete, all the LEDs are working, everything's tickety-boo. And yeah, just one that's been rescued really. So hopefully you found that interesting, and if you have got one of your own that you want to look at, essentially, although the cables are tiny, basically once you've got the back cover off, there's one little screw and 5 head connectors to desolder, and that's all there is to it. So easy enough to do. And excuse my Sharp GF555 making all sorts of noises. I think the phone's going off there. I'll just turn that off. There we go. So yeah, just goes to show we're recording all live here, and I try not to do too many takes if I can help it. We try and record it as honestly and as you know, one-to-one as it were as possible. So anyway, there we go. And yeah, not much more to say. All she is, the Sanyo MGP30. Thank you very much for watching. If you did enjoy it, please consider liking the video and subscribing for updates. We've got loads of boomboxes, personal stereos, Walkmans. We've got vintage games, all kinds of stuff here on the channel. So if you're new, welcome, and if you're not so new, thank you for sticking around. Anyway guys, stay safe and I shall see you soon. Take care. Bye bye for now.